First things first, gentlemen, how are you?
Perfect.
Perfect. Fine, thank you.
That's very good to hear. Now we are here in Innocent, and you've played a couple of shows in the past couple of weeks, and now you're playing a show tonight. What has it been like playing the new songs and getting to feel out which ones work, which ones don't?
Yeah, it worked pretty good, I would say. So you never know how new songs will perform from a perspective of the band, but also from the crowd, and it was pretty good. So I had a lot of fun performing them, and it was cool because when we announced that we would play a new song, for example, we play "It's Ticking," then the crowd was like, "Yeah, it's ticking," and you are happy to hear that people already know this song, you know. And this was pretty cool. The last shows of, I guess, the whole tour, it was working pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, even like when people already sing the new songs with you, you know, you created something that people fuck with. Yeah.
But that's interesting, because if you go back to the beginnings of the band and when you started everything, and you're thinking, okay, let's start a band, let's make this music. Do you then in the back of your mind know that people at some point will listen and will know what you're doing?
No.
That's maybe you wishing for it, but it was never our intention like to create music for an audience or for people. We just do it for ourselves. It's still like that. And I think that is the best way like to do music, like do it for yourself and people will acknowledge your authenticity. Is that the right word? Yeah. But I think if you just do music like for the audience, or maybe in some genres it can like Schlager, I don't know the English name, like
folk music,
that could work out, but it's whack in my opinion. but I think that's the best way to do it.
I guess the intention of forming a band was that we were friends since we are children. So we were 5 when we met, or 4. And we just had the idea of doing something cool together. And that's the reason why we started.
It was even like the idea was, do we do a bar or do we do a band? But we were minors at that time, so we couldn't do a bar, so we started a band.
That's pretty cool. I don't know if this is a good question, but since you know each other for so long, is there something that you've learned about each other after being in a band with each other that you didn't know before?
No, because we already knew us. When we started the band, we already knew us 14 years. So I guess we knew all the good stuff about us.
I know him for 26 years now, so it's really even like when we were moving out from our parents, we lived together in a flat, even with our guitarist, and I'm still living with our guitarist, like in the same house. So
went to the same school.
Same hood. It's like he knows everything about me, I know everything about him.
But does that make making music together then, does that make it easier?
Much
easier.
Because when you're writing music with good friends, you know, for several years or for decades, you can just tell them if you don't like something, you know. I can imagine, because I never did music with people I don't know, but I can imagine if you do creative stuff together with people you don't know that good, it's more difficult to tell them that you don't like what they are doing right now.
It's harder to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And for us, it's like if Philip, our guitarist, is playing a riff, we can just tell him, I don't like the riff. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
No egos.
No egos.
No ego. It doesn't mean that we don't fight. Sometimes we also fight like everybody. But it's like all the time I know he's not really angry about me. I never was angry with him in my whole life, and he wasn't with me or with some else of us. So I think that makes it much easier. And even like through the fact that we know each other for so long, I can, because we both write the lyrics, but sometimes he's writing the whole song or myself is writing the whole song, but I can totally like feel everything that he says because I know everything that he's writing from, like it's the same thing like I would write it.
And I wanted to ask about this because the way you perform the vocals is very interactive with each other, like a question and answer type of thing. And then how does that come together? As you mentioned, sometimes just one of you writes all the lyrics for a song, or how do you kind of use your voices and get that.
It starts in the rehearsal room with like fantasy language. We jam and do the music stuff first, and after that we just like do a fantasy music on it just to create a flow, like ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba, something like that. And from that point on, sometimes he's writing a whole song, sometimes myself writing songs, but we also got like, I think even more of the songs we split, like one verse, we do the hook together or something like that.
And I guess a split between us, who's doing which line, it's sometimes very spontaneously. It's just happening in the studio because we then find out this part is more fitting to Fabio or more fitting to me, and then we say, okay, it would be cool to split it. You know, when there's a question answer thing, it's really cool to do it. You would do one word, I do one word, and again. But I wouldn't say that we have a great plan when starting writing the lyrics. You know, it's very a thing which just happens naturally, and I guess it's also a good thing that we know us since decade. It's just a thing what happens when we are in the studio, really. Yeah.
Is that how most songs come together in the studio, or is it
rehearsal?
Okay.
We got like two. I don't like the word rule, but I don't know how. But it's the only two rules that we have as a band is we only write the songs when we are all five together. When one is not there, we don't write. We don't do like riffs over Skype or something like that, just in the rehearsal room. And the other rule is if one of us don't likes anything, for example, 4 people are liking a riff very much and one is not, then we don't do it. Everybody has to feel it.
But that's awesome to hear. And why do you think that's important to be in the same room when you are creative?
I think that when you do it like you write a riff and put it on Skype, then all other 4 don't have the chance like to make it better or to say something to it. But when you're in the room, you can say, yeah, that's nice. Or sometimes it's nice, but you can make it even nicer with an idea of one of us. Doesn't matter if you play guitar or drums. I think everybody of us has grown with music enough like you don't have to play the instrument to know what could sound good. But
it's also a lot of jamming in the rehearsal room. So, and there's sometimes a moment, and I love these moments, when we have no idea what can happen next in the song, and then the guys are jamming and we just hearing, and then there's this moment when we are like, oh man, that was the riff.
That was the riff.
Like, yes, we got it. You know, and this is so amazing situation if you
with all 5
experience, and then you're sitting together and you're so happy that you have now the solution for the song. And I guess it's just a better exchange.
It's like playing a video game and you finish the level you're working on, and then goes another level and another level. That's
and that
cool.
would never work for us to do it. I don't know, split it on Skype or anything online.
No, and I also think if you listen to where the band started, because you've been doing this for quite a bit now already, so how do you see that evolution? The way I feel, if I listen to Freak Dreams, it feels a lot even more free in what you were allowed to do.
Definitely.
And how did you mentioned a lot comes out of jams and stuff. Is it just sitting there, somebody comes up with a guitar riff? Is it really like that?
Yeah. True story. And so we really working on songs from song to song, you know. We just maybe our guitarist came up with a riff, or our drummer came up with a song and he's like, something like this, and then we just start writing the song. We have no concept for the album. It's just happening in the moment. And
I think we as ourselves, like as individuals, evolved in doing music or to listen to music, to be more open-minded over the years. I think when you give Helix and Losing Grip a listen, you hear way more hardcore influence, and from Street Heat on, we're more open and put some more diversity in it. And on Freak Dreams, it's like feeling like leveled up a little bit on the more open verses and experimental stuff.
And since we always doing the music for us in first place, we don't feel any.
It's not pressure like this is not hardcore enough or this is not
exactly.
It's totally not important. We have to like it.
And it's I believe I don't know how a lot of people feel about this, but I would say genres matter less and less in the past years. Like there's a lot more crossover, and obviously there have been bands that you've been influenced by. Whatever, because everybody names the same bands. What are some artists that you're influenced by that people perhaps wouldn't guess?
Lucy Brown.
Yeah, that's a really unknown band from the early 90s, I get. But they just got one EP, I guess, or maybe two. You just find them on YouTube if you type in Lucy Brown Colorblind, which is a great song, and the EP is crazy. But the funny thing is sometimes people mention bands
we never heard of.
Yeah. And we were like, okay. Or bands I know from the name but never listened to them. For example, Jane's Addiction. I know them, but I never listened to Jane's Addiction.
Yeah. I think another influence like that not so many people will get is like hip-hop stuff, like really like something, for example, Mac Miller or something like that really like influenced me on a lyrically wise, because he was also like such a diverse artist, but in hip-hop he could do like old school rap, he could do like new style rap, he could do like singing. That's also something. And
there's often the comparison with Beastie Boys.
Sure.
And of course we like Beastie Boys, and I guess all of us listen to Beastie Boys, to the albums, but I wouldn't say that they are the main influence of the hip-hop stuff. Definitely not. But I guess people compare because people from alternative music, they know Beastie Boys because they were also in this guitar riffs and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I understand the comparison. But I would say that the hip-hop part is coming from other artists than Beastie Boys, even though a part of them is definitely in the influences,
But what I find interesting then, and I didn't ask your ages, but you said you were around 30, early 30?
Yeah, 30.
So what was it about music from the 90s? Because you have to be really small at that point. What was it about that type of music that appealed to you, and still does?
It was better in so many ways. Like I think for one point, at that point, there wasn't so many bands as now. So the bands, I think the bands doesn't had so much pressure like to stand out, and they were just a little bit more chilled and doing their thing. But even like if you look on the visual stuff from the 80s and 90s, everything was made with heart, everything was made with passion, and now everything is like go out, go out, go out. Everything looks the same. Or not most of the bands, but very, very much songs sound the same in every genre. So I think that was different in the 90s. Yeah, and I think you got more, maybe, I don't know why it is, but you got more outstanding bands, like bands that you find in 1,000 Years One Time, like Alice in Chains, or like Leigh Stanley, the singer of the best singer for me that ever lived.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. The way I see it, I don't know if it's correct, but in the 80s and 90s and even before, people had more chance to take risks, and now everything has to sell immediately.
Yeah, probably that's the reason. Yeah,
definitely.
But to be honest, we explored this music very late. In our music career. So I guess we were in our mid-20s or in the beginning of our 20s when we first heard of Alice in Chains and Faith No More. I know the names, but Alice in Chains is my favorite band, all-time favorite band. When I heard the name Alice in Chains, I was like, oh no, that sounds not good. Same for Faith No More. I saw the cover with the swan on it. I was like, oh no, I don't like it. Oh, it's not a swan.
I don't like swans.
Yeah, I don't like swans. But we explored that pretty late. But then we listened to it several times and found out, oh, there's a lot of nice stuff in this music. So there's a lot of passion and a lot of real music in it. People that really felt what they did on these albums. And I guess then we digged into all the stuff.
Yeah, and we had luck that Jizzy, our guitarist, broke his leg.
Yeah.
Because that really changed everything. It sounds dumb, but it changed everything. He broke his leg, and at this time he was the first of us who got our own flat. And he couldn't go out because of his broken leg. So we were every day sitting on a commando couch.
At least for 6 months.
For 6 months, sitting on a commando couch, smoking weed and watching music on the TV. It was the best influence we could ever had.
Like a crash course in music.
That's,
for real, it was
that's exactly what happened. Yeah,
waking up, go for breakfast. Maybe some of us had to work or some not, and the other part was just smoking weed at that time and watching music, one album after another.
And I guess that happened between Losing Grip. So in the end of Losing Grip, or when we released Losing Grip,
and Street Heat,
and there's you really see the
growth,
growth between Losing Grip and Street Heat when you're looking on the diversity of genres.
With that in mind, then, because as we mentioned, like Free Dreams is another step in the step up, a level up, as you called it. What kind of ambition do you have? Because you mentioned, well, we need to please ourselves first. That's the most important thing. But do you look at I mean, you're in the Netherlands now. What are your ambitions with the music?
I think we would lie if we say we don't like have really plans or something. It would be nice like to live from music at some point, to quit our jobs, but it's still far away for us. Okay. I think the most important thing is that we keep the fun in it. I think that's the most important, because everybody of us is like doing like, I think for minimum 40 hours a week working job. Some of us do 60, and that is like a good release thing to have fun and release stress and stuff. I think that is the most important thing. If that wouldn't make fun anymore, I think this band would be finished. Yeah. So. And like it maybe sounds a little bit cringy, but also the friendship, because we are friends for so long, and it's still a very, very fucking good feeling if you meet with the boys 3 to 4 days a week. I don't think that many people like in their 30s meet their friends that often, or get the chance to meet their friends that often. That's also a cool point about it.
Then being on stage and see your best friend singing, see your best friend playing the solo on a guitar, and you're like, yeah, man, that's cool.
It's even sometimes like sometimes nowadays it's like sometimes I look to Jizzy and say, "You crazy motherfucker!" It's like that's a good feeling.
Well, let's end with a couple of kind of. I'm gonna let you compliment each other, because. Can you both think of maybe a line, maybe a verse or something that the other wrote that you were really impressed by, that you thought, oh, that was awesome that you wrote that?
Oh, definitely. I think we got it both.
Yeah, let me sing about it.
Let me sing about it too.
So maybe I would not say a line, but so since we are sharing the lives for decades, we know the ups and we also know the downs, the lows of our lives. And when you're then reading lyrics about a song which really show your lows, and I'm reading it and I know that was a time which was really hard for Fabio, and I'm reading it and I'm like, oh shit, man, that's tough to read, you know, because of course we are talking about that, but writing down something is even, it's a different way of telling something, you know, and that's a pretty impressive thing, I would say. And that's a song, A Natural Born Quitter, which is on a new album, which really berührt mich. Touched me.
Yeah, for me, I think I go with the same. Like, it's hard to name a line or something like that, but you got it right when you see it. Sometimes you got like, whoa, bro, you did something fucking crazy, and that's the same thing. Like, even with the friendship, you can be like proud of your friends evolving. Like, it's a good feeling to see. But that's for all of us, not for us too. Like, when we started the band, none of us could play anything. Really. Jizzy, our guitarist, could play Wonderwall on guitar. That was it. I was supposed to play the second guitar. In the first rehearsal, I asked Simon, can I sing, please, because I can't play guitar. That's how we started.
You learned quickly then to play the guitar.
12 years. 12 years later.
Yeah, but how quickly did the first EP come out?
2 years.
That was pretty impressive. Well, then I'll be self-indulgent. My favorite... this is not you. My favorite song on the band is song on the album is Nosedive. So I wondered, what was the starting point of that song? What was the first initial
It's like, I can tell you like a secret. Can I tell you?
Yeah, sure.
We that song was supposed to go on the street heat.
Okay.
But we had too much songs like to get it on LP, so we had like I think 2 songs or 3 songs that we cut out and put it on Freaked. So I think that's even with our old bassist on it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Flo. He's also a crazy bassist. Yeah. But how that started? It's a good question. I can't remember. I would say it started probably with a funk riff in the beginning, and we had some impressions from 24/7 Spice with this very heavy riff after the funky part, and I guess that's where we started, but I'm not sure. It is a long time ago, at least 3 years.
Yeah.
When we wrote this song,
No, I think what you now mentioned, you do that really well with the dynamics, where you speed things up, you slow things down. Some things are really loud, sometimes you become more quiet. And the dynamics are awesome, I think. And the lyrics then for Nosedive, was that in that same period, kind of the mindset, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was in that same period.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that.
Because, and we kind of covered the lyrics a little bit in the beginning, but what do you want to get out of the lyrics? Is it kind of like a diary almost, like a confessional style writing?
Yeah, I think
it's a good description,
Yeah, diary is good. It's like autobiographical, like just, I think most of the time we talk about personal struggles or personal things that happen in our lives. We are not like, we want to put out a real message or something like that. It's more like self-reflected stuff, like to get better with yourself, or put weight off your own shoulders.
And we are not the best speaker, maybe. So if I want to describe something, I'm not always good in doing it with just talking. So it's very good to just write it down, take your time and just write it down, and then think about it maybe for a day, and then rewrite it, and that's a pretty cool way. And it's a diary because after reading it several years later, then you go, okay, nice,
So I was feeling this, or I was going through this.
Yeah.
Guys, may I thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you.
Man.
Thank you. All right, perfect.
Perfect. That was pretty nice.
Yeah.
That felt good.